Welcome to my channel, where we discuss everything and all things politics, economy, and development in Nigeria and around the world. About 50 members of the House of Representatives from different parts of Nigeria and political parties, known as Concerned Federal Lawmakers for Peace and Security in the Southeast, have appealed to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to invoke Section 174 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, and Section 1071 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015 for the release of the leader of the proscribed Indigenous People of Biafra, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, from detention to aid the restoration of peace in the Southeast region. The lawmakers also appealed to President Tinubu to commence a presidential peace initiative to address all issues and challenges bedeviling the Southeast region of Nigeria. That is the issue we're going to talk about in this video. But before we go into that, let us go through the details of what these lawmakers want Tinubu to do. Now, the requests by these lawmakers were contained in a 3-page letter signed by them, dated June 19, 2024, and addressed to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. They urged the President to direct the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Prince Latif Fagbemi, SAN, to invoke his powers of nolle prosecution under the provisions of Section 1741 of the Constitution and Section 1071 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015, and cause the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu from detention and discontinue his trial in the interest of peace in the Southeast. According to the lawmakers, they believe such action was long overdue and will bring or be instrumental in opening the door for much needed conversation surrounding peace and surrounding peace restoration and inclusivity, as well as addressing the issues that led to the agitation in the Southeast. They recall that the President extended this gesture through the Office of the Attorney General in the case involving Omoyele Sowore, wherein he was charged with treasonable felony in charge number FHC/ABJ/CR/235/2019, and Sunday Igboho, and so on. The concerned legislators lamented that the Southeast was in turmoil and unsafe for various reasons, including breakdown of security, downturn of economic activities, families were running away from their homes, and businesses are crumbling. They therefore opine that fixing the challenges in the Southeast will go a long way in changing the narrative and showcase Tinubu's commitment to upholding the principle of rule of law, justice, and fairness, which are the bedrock of democracy. They also opined that it will also set a precedent for addressing issues through dialogue rather than prolonged political cum judicial persecution, and pave the way for peace initiatives, economic revitalization, and a renewed sense of belonging among the citizens of the Southeast. Expressing optimism on a positive response from the President, the concerned lawmakers added that this will enhance President Tinubu's administration's legacy as one that prioritizes national unity, peace, and progress. That is the summary of what these lawmakers are demanding. Now, what is the implication of this? What are the takeaways from this? Number one important takeaway is that this call came from across all lawmakers from all parts of Nigeria, all political parties in Nigeria. So it is a pan-Nigerian and bipartisan call for the release of Nnamdi Kanu, showing that there is a united voice in the National Assembly, especially in the House of Reps, for Nnamdi Kanu to be released as a process of peace building in the Southeast region. So one important takeaway from this is that this is a national consensus. This is not like, Nnamdi Kanu is from the Southeast region. So this is not like it is the Southeast lawmakers that are calling for this. Okay, this is a call, a national call on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to release Nnamdi Kanu for restoration of peace in the Southeast region. Now, number two takeaway is that it's a call for the invocation of powers of nolle prosecution under the provisions of Section 1741 of the Constitution and Section 1071 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015 to cause the release of Nnamdi Kanu. Why this is important is because they are reminding the president that the president has also invoked these same sections for the release of Sunday Igboho, who was also charged for treasonable felony and who was an agitator for the Yoruba nation. It has also been invoked to release and set free Omoyele Sowore, the Revolution Now agitator. So what they are saying is that what you did for Igboho and Sowore, extend that gesture to Nnamdi Kanu. So they are not asking for a novelty, something that has never been done before. They are banking on what Tinubu has done before. Let him do it again by ensuring the release of Nnamdi Kanu. And we also know that this is not a new thing in Nigeria. Even the APC administration has been welcoming and reintegrating Boko Haram leaders who volunteered to surrender for peace to reign in the Northeast region. So it is all part of a process of what the military call the non-kinetic approach to resolving this kind of agitations. So that's what they are saying there. And they are saying that if you release Nnamdi Kanu, it will help to reduce the insecurity in the Southeast, just as the kinetic process has also reduced insecurity in the Northeast to a limited extent. Now, this call is also coming at a time when Nnamdi Kanu himself has indicated interest to dialogue with the federal government. In his last court appearance, he indicated that he wants to dialogue with the federal government. So it's an opportunity for this call by the lawmakers is an opportunity for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to be encouraged to accept the offer by Nnamdi Kanu, by also instructing the Attorney General to reach out to the Nnamdi Kanu lawyers and see how they can resolve the issues involving him amicably to facilitate his release. Okay. Now, another thing that they pointed out in their statement is that these lawmakers also call on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to address the underlying problems in the Southeast. the reason why there is agitation in the southeast. In other words, releasing Nnamdi Kanu is like solving the problem 50%, but you have not solved it all. There is a need to address the underlying problems that led people to be agitating, especially the youths in that region, to be agitating. So that agitation, you address the issue that causes the agitation. Okay, because it is at the root of the problem to address the issues that cause the agitation. And there is a solution to that issue. The Southeast Development Commission bill has been passed by this House of Representatives and the Senate. It's already lying in the table of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the Villa. So he should also sign it into law without further delay to show in good faith that he wants peace in the Southeast region, and not just about releasing Nnamdi Kanu, which is very important. It is at the epicenter of the issue of violence in the Southeast. If you cast our mind back, Southeast used to be a haven of peace and security in Nigeria. Southeast used to be the most peaceful zone in Nigeria. All things fell apart in the Southeast once President Muhammadu Buhari became president of Nigeria. And it appears his administration deliberately wanted to frustrate peace in the Southeast. Because before him, all kinds of agitation had been going on in the Southeast, but they had never had violence. They were not in a violent mood. People have been agitating for years for all kinds of things. But it was President Buhari that upped the ante in creating the instability in the Southeast. In the sense that, let me give you a typical example. You can go and research what I'm telling you. Go and compare the level of violence in the Southeast to the time Nnamdi Kanu was released. That's when he was, Nnamdi Kanu was released and he was kept under house arrest, and then he escaped when the military allegedly invaded his house. Now, if you compare the violence that engulfed Southeast at that time to now, you find out that it was moderate. There was not much violence. But once they renditioned Nnamdi Kanu back to Nigeria, that was when you have the escalation of violence. So you have to blame those who illegally renditioned Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya to Nigeria for the escalation of violence in the Southeast. And this is an opportunity, therefore, for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to right the wrong that was done by President Buhari by ensuring the restoration of peace in the Southeast through the release of Nnamdi Kanu in line with what the lawmakers are saying, and then signing into law, which the one he can do now without wasting of time, without referring to the Attorney General, is signing into law the Southeast Development Bill that will facilitate the development of the Southeast that was ravaged for 3 years by the Nigerian Civil War, in which there was a policy of rehabilitation, reconstruction, and rebuilding of the Southeast by the General Gowon administration, which was never done. Now, this Southeast Development Commission bill, which was initiated by the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Benjamin Kanu, is part of the process of dealing with what federal government ought to have done since after the Civil War. So that is why it is critical that the president signs into law that bill and then do as the lawmakers were saying he should by releasing Nnamdi Kanu, so that all these things working together will help in the restoration of peace and security in Southeast. Okay, that's my take in this matter. I don't know what you think. Whatever you think about this, you can make your views known in the commentary box. Thank you, and God bless you and yours.